Naomi, hold on. You're running 7th, Gareth. Well done.
Hello, welcome then. Episode 30, Cookies Rambles. 63 days out from Berlin Marathon. Just done a full week of training and had a pretty good week of training, to be honest. So yeah, I'm on my different camera, by the way, today, so if the quality looks different, arguably this is a better camera, the DJI one that I'm using. A little bit better than the GoPro, and I have a little microphone as well. But yeah, if it's different, that's why. I used it over a week when I was watching Naomi's TT in Gilberdike, but it's because I forgot my GoPro this weekend and this were in my bag. Anyway, so yeah, week of training. Had a really good week of training. A lot better than last week. In terms, recovered from my sickness and headache and migraine, and got into the depths of it. After last week's long run with Birdie, recognised that I needed a little bit more hill strength in terms of like climbing and feeling strong uphill. So put a hill session in there this week, as well as my session on the track with the gang on Tuesday. And yeah, felt strong for it, and as I've got into the week and as the week unfolds, you'll probably recognise why. So Monday kicked off, Monday morning, just easy running, no daft, no ridiculous, keeping like the legs turning and all that sort of stuff. Ended up doing on Monday, so 10 and a bit in the morning with Kai, did 7 with him, and then a mile and a half with Bessie. Yeah, and felt good with that. Bessie ended up breaking out of her harness on Monday, so Kai and Ruby live around the corner from us. Bessie knows the direction there, and we're jogging up the road to get towards Kai and Ruby's. I weren't going there, I was just doing an extra mile and a half with her, and that were it. And then I had to cross over to put some of Bessie's poo in a bin and double back on myself. Bessie thought that she were coming home, and obviously didn't want to come home and cut the run short. So yeah, she ended up locking in, dipped her harness, got out of it, and we're on Huddersfield Road, bless me, in traffic, and Bessie's running free, running naked as a dog up and down Huddersfield Road. So I quickly caught her, rugby tackled her into the ground, put her harness back on, and then we were near one of them scrolling bus stop signs, near one of them, and she's barking her head off at it because it kept changing picture. So that were an eventful run Monday morning. And then when I thought, right, I'm punishing you anyway now, dog. So we ran uphill towards Kai and Ruby's, not the direction I intended on going, but we ran uphill so that she could flag behind. And yeah, we got 10 and a little bit mile boxed off. And then in the evening, ran with Naomi, 4 mile with Naomi, got her out the door, and then a couple of mile on my own after, and that were good, nice and easy as well. So got the legs, woke them back up, ready for me Tuesday. So Tuesday morning, 6 mile, got out, 6 mile, nice and easy, no stupid. Then in the evening, we did a session on the track. So I've named it on Strava, fast, something fast, and then faster. So it ended up being, it were 400 metre reps off, I'll just check actually. So the 400 metre reps, and then off a 200 metre like jog recovery, and then it was 1k, so we did 4 of them, and then it was 1k reps off 300 metre jog recovery, and then it was 200 metre reps off 200 metre jog recovery, and then after each like set or block of different distances, you'd do like a 600 metre jog recovery, a lap and a little bit. So yeah, that were quite good. We're splitting my 400s, split them in, let's find it, so 115, 111, 112, 111, and then my Ks, we're doing them in around 5-10 minute mile pace, and then my 200s, which were a lot quicker than I've ever, well, quicker than my body is natural to run, let's call it that. Split them in like 4:30 pace, 4:15 pace, 4:10 pace, 4:15 pace. So yeah, not a bad session at the office at North Yarmouth track with the gang. So yeah, we had a decent turnout as well, which was always nice to see, and just means that people are starting to put some real value on training together, and you always get better by training with better people. So yeah, it's always good to have someone in front of you on sessions like that as well.
There we go.
It is just starting to rain, so if I get soaked here and my hood goes up, yeah, you know why. And then that was Tuesday boxed off, so 16.3 mile Monday, 16.2 mile on Tuesday, and then Wednesday just an easy run. Ran with Kai in the morning, did 8 mile, and then in the evening Naomi went and did a bike race, so she started to get into time trial bike racing. So Naomi did that up at Grindthorpe, so I just ran on the flat up there and did 7 mile. Was 6:56 pace, but my heart rate was low, and because we were on the flat it felt a lot easier. And then on Friday morning went out 8.5 mile, kept it flat again, but Barnsley flat this time, so it was still hilly. And then just ran on my own Thursday morning, went out about 9:30, so a little bit later because I weren't running with Kai, but yeah, a little bit later, and ran on my own. 7:15 pace, no daft, and heart rate has started dropping as well, so just indicating that I'm getting aerobically fit. And then in the evening wanted to do like 10 hill reps, but not long hills, just short hills, short and sharp. Didn't want to take anything out of my body or my system and treat it more like strides, so I did 10 30-second hills. The hill is one that is near where we live. Well, they're all hills, to be honest, where we live. But I knew that from bottom to top it's roughly 30 seconds because it is about 200 metres long, so ended up doing that. Got a crown on Strava, so not too bad, and we're clocking in about 32 seconds to get bottom to top. Did do the full hill just so I weren't cheating myself, and did it at the back end of a run, so ran like 5 mile to get there and then up and down the hill 10 times. So with hill sessions you've always got your recoveries, so I think I was jogging down the hill in about 50 seconds and then sprinting up it in about 32 seconds. So yeah, ended up being 15.2 mile by Thursday. And then Friday did plan on running with Naomi in the morning, but we woke up a little bit late, so I got out of the door and I had to be at work for like 9:30, 10 o'clock, so just sticking to my rule of 1 and ended up running 9 mile Friday. Kept it short and sweet, and didn't do anything daft. So 9 mile Friday, nice and easy, just getting the legs out there and getting the job done. And then on to Saturday. So after last week, I did Hull Parkrun last week in 16:50 something, I think, and I knew that we were coming to Hull Parkrun again this week. So plan was to have a go and see where I'd end up. I do find it tough, to be honest, to run fast at Parkrun, just because it's 9 o'clock on a Saturday morning, and I do find that quite tough mentally, but it's still Parkrun and it's good to have a decent go at it. So what I did is 1.5 mile warm up, got there in reasonable time, but still only time to do a 1.5 mile warm up, and then I thought, right, my PB at Hull's 16:04. I wanted to try and have a go at that, and ended up getting, long story short, 16:11. So set off quite quick, on pace. There were a few familiar faces there from the week before as well. I don't think I've run Hull Parkrun like back to back like I've done this week and last ever before. I might have done it probably last year, but not that I can recall anyway. So yeah, enjoyed it. I think I clocked my first mile roughly you need to be breaking 5:10 at least for your first mile and just keeping consistent, and that I did. Stay consistent, didn't really die off, looking at my pace and analysing all my data and all my stats and all that sort of stuff, but did feel quite good and relatively strong. So 16:11 boxed off at Hull Parkrun. Not a PB, but it was windy, it was cold, it was a little bit rainy, and I got absolutely soaked after. But yeah, excuses, isn't it? So yeah, just enjoyed it, and it felt nice to have a go at something fast. To be honest, I've not really raced a road 5k this year either, so I am on the lookout, and I've spoke to Birdie this morning about mid-Cheshire if I can try and get an entry in there. So yeah, enjoyed it. 16:11. Think if I were to do it next week, I'd go quicker, to be honest. But we are going to go and do a local parkrun to us, well, local-ish. I'm going to go and do one in Doncaster next week with a few of the training group and make a bit of a thing of it over at Sandal if anyone fancies it. So yeah, that was that. And then Naomi, we're going to a friend's, John's, after, who lives over in Hessel. So I planned on running 7.5 mile there. Ended up getting to John's in 7.5 mile, bang on the nose. Naomi weren't there, so I just ran around the block a little bit. So I did one lap, checked again, she weren't there again, so 8 mile. Another lap, checked again, she weren't there then, so I ended up doing 8.5, and then I thought, oh, I'll go and do another lap, and then she turned up, so I ended up doing 9 mile Saturday morning, just short of 14 mile for Saturday done. So yeah, that was quite good. Extra cheeky ones in the bag. And then Sunday, Naomi's been TT racing again. I told you, she's got addicted. And Sean Burt came over, and there were a couple of other local faces, and then Naomi's sister Kirsty, her boyfriend Josh, he were over as well doing it. So she's done 25 mile TT on the bike. That's like in aero position and that, for those that aren't cyclists. And then I've run 20 mile around Gilberdyke, using a lot of the Gilberdyke 10 mile route and course, and then a little bit towards Howden, out in the flat country, and if water level rises a little bit, it's flooding over there. Yeah, so that was that done. Looked at splits after on Strava, and I felt okay whilst I was running. My heart rate was gradually increasing as I was going through the run, which is normal, and it's called aerobic drift, and that just comes into like fatigue, a little bit to do with dehydration and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, enjoyed it. Averaged 6:45 pace for 20 mile, and felt a lot better than Bonk Town that I did with Birdie last week on my 15 mile with him. Yeah, and that just shows like what a difference a week can make in training, especially when you're coming off the back of like illness and sickness and all that, and just how much it can take out of you. So in terms of confidence this week, it's through the roof, and I've felt the benefit of building a little bit of strength, doing a little bit of hills. I still do a little bit of S&C when Naomi goes to yoga, and that to me is just like compound stuff. It's not special, not fancy, not magical. It is just me doing some like box standard strength stuff, in terms of like glute bridges, squats, lunges, and stuff that is practical and relevant towards me as a runner and not as a bodybuilder, because at the end of the day I'm training to be a runner, and I don't know if you can tell me, but I don't need massive biceps or like that, even though they might look good on a beach. So yeah, it's just keeping it relevant to me. And then another thing I thought I'd talk about this week is the importance of mixing up your running. So I did a video the other week about running easy and all that sort of stuff, but the importance of like mixing up your running. So there's a couple of ways, well there's more than a couple, that you can mix up your running. Changing your route, so changing where you run. So when I lived at my mum and dad, yeah, so what's wrong with going up the street and turning left, or going down the street instead? And did it the other week and ran down our street where me and Naomi live now, and yeah, that was weird. I hate running downhill to begin with, but it mixes up the runs and makes them a little bit different and a little bit interesting. And changing who you run with, so run with different people, different faces, different conversations, different jokes, different banter. Sometimes there might be the same conversations with different people and you get a different response, so it changes who you run with. and that can always be interesting as well. Changing your shoes, so mixing up what shoes, and I mean different brands, different styles, different things in shoes that you might enjoy. So you have racing shoes, you have easy shoes, you have fast shoes, slow shoes, so trail shoes. So mixing up your shoes, because it can make a run feel completely different. Changing the surface that you run on, so there's a big difference in running on grass, trail, field, fell, road, tarmac, track, concrete. I like changing the surface. And then another one that I like to do, that I've done quite a lot recently, is running in different places. So I'm lucky that, to be honest, we've got a part-time holiday let in Naomi's parents where we can come across to East Yorkshire and run like in East Yorkshire in the flat country in Netherlands. Whereas running in Barnsley is hilly, but it's changing it up, and when you're doing a new route and running somewhere different, it makes it interesting because you're not constantly looking for that same house or that same bin or the same site that you see day after day, and that makes your runs interesting. So like this morning when I've run at Gilberdike, I've run on roads that I do recognise, I do know because I've raced on them quite a few times, but it's a different place. And when I run round where Naomi's parents live, it's where East Hull 20 runs past. So for me, it's mixing it up and making it interesting. And then there's a load of different things. So change your training philosophy, how you train. Do you train fast? Do you train slow? Do you train to heart rate, pace? Do you train to distance, time, minutes? So changing that way up as well. And that can make your training and your running just a little bit fresher. So sometimes you might have to start again. And then as well, using the magic of technology, or not using the magic of technology, training with or without a watch, changing the data screen that you can see on your watch. So I have mine at the minute, it's on a zone, so training to heart rate zone, and all it shows me is my heart rate zone I'm in, and I've done them so they're correct for me. Then it might show me a pace and time that I've been running. So I don't really run to distance, even though I know roughly how far I'm going to be on 4 minutes and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, changing that, having it on heart rate screen, having it on map screen, direction screen, having it on something and playing little games with yourself. So one that I've played before is the heart rate game. So 8-minute miles, but seeing how low you can actually get your heart rate within that game as well, which mixes it up. But yeah, change your running up just to make it a little bit interesting. We sat down last night looking at races and all that as well to try and mix up as running. So yeah, enter a race, having a goal, that can make your running interesting as well. So just having a goal, having something to aim towards, having a drive and a motivator, a little bit of a tool to use it for. And I try and use races as that. So setting little targets within races. You want to run a certain time for a certain distance or a certain event. So yeah, in terms of goals, like a running goal, I've got Berlin Marathon, that's a big one, but looking at stepping stones along the way. So I was looking last night at races and the week before at races. So last night we eventually pulled the trigger and booked a 10k, second week of August or first week of August, York 10k. It is a run for all event, and I don't really like entering big like corporate events like that. I do prefer looking towards like local club races and stuff, but I just couldn't find any in Yorkshire on the calendar. So yeah, I got York 10k entered, and then I'm also now looking for a few weeks later, back end of August, beginning of September, towards a half marathon or a 10-mile event. So if anyone's got any half marathons or 10 miles first week of September or back end of August, yeah, drop a suggestion and get in touch. But we were looking at Vale of York half, because I know it, and that's about 2 weeks out from Berlin, so it gives me enough time to recover from that as well. But yeah, using a race as a bit of a goal, as a bit of a target to get there as well, that's always a good motivating tool. And then if all else fails and you're getting a little bit tedious, a little bit bored, sport principle, just run really slow just so you can enjoy it and enjoy the magic of putting one foot in front of the other. But yeah, I've run every day now since 30th of November 2015, and there's been days where I have got bored, and I'd be lying if I said I loved every single day. And there's no one out there that loves every single day in terms of running, but it's still getting out there, putting one foot in front of the other and getting the job done. So, and it works for me, and if I can do it, you can. And I'm far from elite and spectacular, to be honest, but yeah, just enjoy it, keep smiling, folks. And 63 days now until Berlin Marathon. Loving it, loving life, and episode 30 boxed off. 100 and just short of 106 mile. I think I'm 105.5 this week in terms of mileage. So starting to creep right up there, and then getting out there and getting it done. So yeah, just keep running, folks, and I'll see you next week for episode 31 of Cookie's Rambles. In fact, box that.